Hi, this is Mike Eaton from EDEL 544, and I'm going to talk about my personal learning network. Um, I was originally going to talk about libraries and library-related things, but I realized that the network I used is pretty limited in a lot of ways. It's limited to EPL-based things, and I thought it would be more interesting to talk about something different. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about the work that I do where I write about video games on the internet. One of the big tools that I use actually on my computer and in my life is I use the bar at the top here, the toolbar. I like to drag things down and use them. So I've got, for example, I've got a Twitch page. I've got Games Press, which I'll be talking about in a moment. This is the dashboard, which is the WordPress account that I use for writing. It's got a list of sort of top pages, it's got drafts that I'm working on, that sort of thing. I like to keep it here because it's very easy to access. And of course this is the page that, as the public sees it, it's a video game blog, and there's various different things new articles that post up all the time. For example, here's one that I wrote just a couple days ago. Anyway, back to Twitter. As I said, this is an essential tool that we use when writing about games. It's a way we keep in contact with people. Most of my contacts and people that I know in this business, if you want to call it that, live all over the world, all over North America and some in Europe, all over the place. So you really do need to have that social media presence there going. So of course there's things like we use Twitter. Facebook is also very popular, but I don't need to show you that because we all know what that is. We also use Google Plus sometimes for talking, having meetings and that. I'm on the editorial staff, so we have to do that occasionally. We also use Skype pretty regularly as well. So we used to do podcasts, which is a great way of getting messages out and entertaining our fans, and so that's something we use a lot as well. As far as the real network part of things and keeping track of different sites and keeping information, I'm using Feedly for this one. Feedly's not the best site. I mean, it doesn't have the most information, but it's all right. What I'm going to do is I've got various things that I have. I do have some library information that I cover. I've got some news that I cover. This is just my daily life stuff. But for video games, I've got various resources here. I'm going to start with Kotaku. Kotaku is and IGN, actually. The two of those are kind of like the New York Times and the Washington Post of video game world, I suppose, if that's meaningful at all. Basically, they're the big sites, the big news sites, but that's what they really cover. They're kind of the definitive voice on what's going on in the big mainstream video game world. GameSpot also does a lot of news, but their thing is more about reviews, that sort of thing. They review. Their thing is that they're a huge site and they review everything, so it's very important. They're really useful for keeping up on all sorts of games, regardless of how big or small they are. You've got the smaller ones like Rock Paper Shotgun, which is devoted to the independent scene, which is good. A lot of times you'll find games here that you've never heard of before. Small independent developers made by one or two person teams. It's very useful. Great site. Also, there's of course the site I write for here, Twinfinite. There it is. And we've got Games Press. Games Press as a writer is really helpful. It's kind of like Reuters or the Associated Press for for writing. So it's a great place to find stories, to get assets like previews or screenshots and that kind of thing, which is helpful for writing articles. Another essential way that we make connections within this industry, because it is very small and everybody knows each other, and we don't often see each other. That's one of the weird things about it, because we're all online. So what we do is there are conferences that occur every year. So E3, which is one of the biggest, it's the biggest probably. It's essentially it's a trade show, and it's meant for press, publishers, and distributors. And this is the place where new games, new consoles, things like that are announced. It's in Los Angeles every year in June. I was lucky enough to go to it this year, which was fantastic. So yeah, and this is where they announce the new Xbox machine or the new PlayStation machine. So it's very much a trade show. You've also got PAX. There's PAX Prime, which is in Seattle in August, and PAX East, which is in Boston in February. PAX stands for Penny Arcade Expo. It's put on by a website called Penny Arcade, which owns a webcomic, and it's much more fan-centered. There are the publishers and distributors and developers that go there as well, and distributors. but it is much more for the fans, and press do go, but press do attend it as well. Besides these events, there are some other ones as well. There's the Game Developers Conference, GDC. It's not available on Feedly, so I have to show you their direct page. Boy, that's a pretty bouncy looking image there. This one is, it's focused on the developers themselves. It's much more technical about the actual mechanics of game design. I've never been fortunate enough to attend this one as well, but it'll be great, really interesting, definitely interesting to check out. It's based out of, it's in San Francisco, it's in March. It's usually right after PAX East, actually. And then the other one that's really big is Tokyo Game Show. Whoops, there it is, TGS. That one actually just happened a few days last week, and it's very similar to, it's kind of a hybrid of E3 and PAX. There's press, there's a lot of press, there's a lot of trade show stuff, but there's also a lot of fans that go there as well, cosplayers, people that dress up in like costumes of their favorite anime and video game characters. And of course the focus is more on the Japanese game development world, which is, you know, very interesting and of course thriving in its own way. So anyway, that's a quick look at my personal learning network for my video game writing. I hope you found it interesting, and please leave a comment or tell me what you think. Thank you.